This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
What is going on? You are listening to Tag's podcast, the OG Talk About Gay Sex podcast. This is episode 684. I am your host, Stevie V, alongside Jeremy Ross Lopez, the OG. How are you doing, Jeremy?
I'm really good. How are you?
Very, very good. And with his brand new single, I Don't Want to Fight, available wherever you get your music, Cody Maurice Doggett. How the hell you doing?
Hello, darling. Doing wonderful this evening.
Yeah, I feel like we're in the middle of summer, and I just love it right now. We were out celebrating a friend's birthday last night, Cody and myself, and the weather was balmy and perfect. And a lot of people don't like cities in the middle of summer. I'm one of those crazy people that do because people leave. And I know, I mean, there's still people here. It's a city. Come on, it's Manhattan. Yeah. But still, I love it. And I mean, didn't you just love it, Cody?
Oh, yeah. It was amazing. It was great company and great drinks and great food. So, I mean, it was just great. I'm going to say great one more time.
You're in the Cape right now. Cape, as Massachusetts goes. How is summer over there?
It's
Jeremy?
really beautiful, and the hydrangeas are in full bloom. And we head to P-Town at the end of the week for another weekend getaway there. So yeah, it's really just so beautiful and relaxing.
Love it. Love it. Happy summer, everyone. Okay, well, we have so much to get into. It's like a hot topic extravaganza, but we did need to report. You guys remember that makeup artist from Venezuela, Hernandez Ramiro, that was here fleeing from Venezuela against horrible communist Venezuela, was wrongfully sent to that El Salvador with ICE, never got due process, and he's been in that awful jail cell that we've all seen on the news. I have some good news to report. He has been freed from that notorious mega prison. However, they have sent him back to Venezuela, and he was really detained originally due to tattoos that he had on his body that were thought to be Venezuelan gang groups that are a really notorious gang group, and that's why they detained him. He's a makeup artist, for crying out loud, and was fierce, and it's like, come on. Well, I guess the good news is he's been freed definitely from that prison that we've all seen on the news from El Salvador. However, he was sent back to Venezuela where he came for asylum
originally.
Yeah. And so due to this large prisoner swap, and he's talked to his mom, and it looks as though he's in a detention center in Venezuela, but looks like they are going to release him. But I don't know, to go back to where you came from, where you are persecuted for being gay and under communism over there. Ugh. I mean, I don't know. Any comments on? I mean, Jeremy, this is awful. I mean, it's good that he's released from that awful prison.
Yes, definitely. But I mean, when you flee your country, it's usually for a reason, like providing a future for you and your family and stuff. So, I mean, it's just terrible. And I'm assuming that all of his business was here because that's where he started the profession. So
Yeah.
it's just shitty what's happening to so many people, just being taken, like ripped out of their current living situation.
We've all seen news stories, Cody, of that horrible detention center in El Salvador, and to see somebody like Andre Hernandez Ramiro sent there, but to be freed. Thoughts?
Yeah, I was reading a story, I think today, and it was saying how all of the conditions in those places are just subhuman and just insanely, just not fit for a human habitation. So I really think that this is sad. And I mean, I'm glad he's back in his home country, but I do feel like I wonder what his life is going to be like. It's just I can't conceive of what and how he would be able to live the life that he lived here or there.
Yeah, it was one thing when the administration said that they were just going after criminals, but going after a makeup artist from Venezuela who is seeking asylum as a gay person in communist Venezuela under Maduro, to send him back there, yes, it's probably better than that detention center, but my God, he's now back where he started from. And we can only hope that his mother, and he's going to be reunited with her. So we will keep tabs on this story, but that was a quick update. And we wanted to definitely, before we got into, it was a busy concert weekend. We're going to talk about the Jumbotron incident in just a second. But before we get to that, which it was on everyone's radar. Oh my goodness. Katy Perry decided to, I don't know, channel Beyonce and get some media attention for that tragic world tour she's on when her butterfly prop, as she, the whole thing right now, if you're on tour, is to be flying over the arena, right? That just seems to be like, tell your producers that's what we need to do on this performance. Madonna did it, so I'm not, I love it without any malfunctions. Beyonce recently on the Cowboy Carter tour actually had her car went sideways, but she managed to keep it professional in her hometown, which was crazy. And the latest is Katy Perry, who's Butterfly. Yep, she's not Mariah Carey, people. Maybe that was the problem.
I was going to say, so it tried to throw her off. No, I'm sorry. That's a bad joke.
Was Mariah behind this, Cody?
It's a conspiracy, honey. I can't.
That we're starting on tags. Yeah, exactly. Well, that wasn't the only thing that happened over the weekend. Coldplay is on a world tour right now, and if you didn't see this, you are under a rock when a viral footage showed Andy Byron, the CEO of Astronomers, he was warned. He was warned by the frontman of who's the frontman of Coldplay.
Oh my God, what is that?
We all know him.
Chris something.
Chris, yes.
Yep. Gwyneth Paltrow's ex. Martin, that's his name.
Chris Martin actually made a whole intro statement in the tour saying that we are about to turn on our Jumbotron cam to find some of you fans, and we're going to focus on you. And he warned everybody. He even said, women, if you don't have your makeup on yet, get it done. And they did do that when Andy Byron, who is the CEO of Astronomer, had his arms around a woman. I love this because I was telling you guys last night, she's the head of HR, but people that are in tech call it the head of people. It's just this whole thing. I won't even go into it right now. But she's this chief officer of people, HR, just think HR. And the minute the camera went on them, Andy ducked which was so she turned away, and apparently they were with somebody else that works for the company too, that was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, who's probably in on this illicit affair. Why do we think it's an illicit affair? Because now we know, after that, he's since resigned from Astronomer. There's already a new CEO. It's been said that yes, he was having an affair with his subordinate, this woman that worked for the company as the HR, and they got caught. They got caught in the worst way. Oh, I mean, I think we're so fascinated about this is because when people just think that they can get away with something like this, and infidelity really strikes people, even in our community, really wrongly. And to blatantly think that you could get away with it, I have to hear your thoughts, Jeremy, on this.
I mean, I was just like, holy shit. And I mean, you knew when you saw it just by the footage and what the Coldplay lead singer said to follow up. He's like, oh, we must have caught a couple that's not supposed to be together. Like he just put it out there. And I mean, it's obvious if you are on the Jumbotron and not wanting to be, then you're stupid for not listening to them announcing that they're gonna like coast around the audience. And I just feel bad for his wife and his family members, which are definitely dragged into this bullshit of all the shitstorm that this has created. And now with social media, I mean, AI is creating videos of like him throwing her when they're
What?
and like just so many different things. They're like adding them to a flume ride and showing them like sliding down it, and they're just making a mockery of it. So imagine how his children and his wife feels, and then her husband and her family, because they were both married, not just one over the other.
I mean, it's the audacity to think
Yeah.
that in this
And
day
then
and
his
age.
apology was kind of shitty too, because it was saying that this should have been able to stay a private moment, and it's like
Girl.
nothing about being at a Coldplay concert is private. I mean,
And nothing about today in general is about being private, because
Right.
there are cameras everywhere and everybody has a cell phone. The reason that this went viral in general was because not just that it happened at this one particular concert, was that this person, this woman that was also at the concert, filmed it happening on, you can film on the jumbo cam, and
Yeah.
she filmed all that. She posted this video that went viral, and she's been on record saying, yeah, I haven't made any money from this, that now has been viewed by millions and millions internationally. It's like the story of the weekend. Cody, I mean, sloppy.
Girl.
Are we just, do we love a story when we can just, I mean, remember Scandival, which even if you didn't watch the show on Bravo about that show, it was a huge phenomenon. What are your thoughts?
Oh, the one with Kerry Washington?
No, I'm talking about Scandival. The whole,
yeah. With that specific relationship,
right?
That was on, what is
Bravo? Vanderpump Rules. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. When he cheated on her, even if you didn't know about it, Scandival was in. The president talked about Scandival.
Yeah, they dragged him for filth.
We have a thing, and I'm with it too. It's like smash the one that has really done wrong on somebody else. And dare do I say, if they're white, we're even going to be more putting them to the fire. What do you say to all of this?
Girl, it is a mess. And they deserve it. They snuck around on their partners, behind their partners' backs, when honestly, who knows what they could have gotten accomplished if they would just been open and honest with their partners. So I don't know. I think that this is just completely ridiculous. And you know what? I feel like they don't want gays having marriages and relationships like this, where they want to make it illegal again. That's what's going on when I'm hearing around the campfire. But then like the sanctity of marriage and straight relationships, this is what goes on. So I don't know which is better. Why they're picking and choosing who and what is for the sanctity of marriage. So I just really am confused.
Yeah, you bring up some really good points because I feel like it took so long, 2015, to get same-sex marriage legal. And we had all that time to look at our parents and all these relationships and marriage fail, and how sometimes it's an institution that doesn't work. It does work in many cases, of course. And we have also dictated our own trajectory on things like open marriage and polyamory within our own community. I'm talking about LGBTQ plus. And in many ways, we have seen what doesn't work and what does work. And I just think, yeah, with with same-sex marriage being potentially threatened and going to the Supreme Court, and that could really happen. Bless you. That is something that's like priests. It reminds me of the Catholic Church. It's like you guys all have this whole higher, holier than thou, literally, and then you guys are the first people to, molest children and have infidelity of an institution that you hold only for yourselves. Well, guess what? I'm glad that they are on blast, and karma's a bitch. So I don't feel sorry for them at all.
And his wife is probably tired of him, so she would have been like, "Go head on, go
it also
have
just
sex."
makes you wonder, like, you're a CEO of a tech company. You couldn't think of a smarter situation to go out with your mistress, like.
And on top of what you're saying, the head of HR, or people as they call it, is the first rule of thumb is not to fraternize and have relations with people within the company, especially your CEO. You are supposed to be, quote unquote, the moral high ground of that particular company. And if you can't even keep it together, and it's just, that's why people don't like HR.
Dang. Yeah. She made a whole bad name for all of HR.
I'm telling you. Yeah. I have people that have worked in that industry, and it's like no. Anyways, on a happier note, the one and only Barack Obama was recently on his wife's podcast, and he said something. This is why we love him, and this is why we miss him, is because he urged young men, when asked basically how, and he raised 2 girls, but what about, and we keep hearing things about young straight men, and there's a cry out for straight men, young straight men, that they are alone. They don't know how to communicate anymore. They don't know how to date anymore. And how are they going to go further into culture and be upstanding citizens? And when asked a similar question, what was impactful to him as a young Barack Obama, he cited his former college instructor, and he really urged men to befriend gay people who can help teach them empathy and kindness. And it's really good. You got to hear it. He says, I don't think as a society we have to create more structures for boys and men to be able to meet a wide range of role models so that whatever their inclinations, they can see a path to success. That isn't just sports or money, making a lot of money, he said. But when coming to befriending a gay person, he said, I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out a lot. He became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. He says, he told him, you need empathy. And he really thinks that men should be surrounded by not just their fathers, he said, Cody, but because one man can't offer everything, but that a wide variety of what masculinity or malehood can look like. What did you think when you saw this? I know you sent me this as well.
Yeah, I thought it was really insightful. He basically said that it takes more than one type of man to raise a man, or it takes a village, basically. And I think that that's been espoused before. And I am glad that he is appreciative of differing perspectives, especially when it comes to like a sexuality spectrum. He sees that there's value in other types of people out there in the world that are different from himself. So I'm really proud of him. I think he's a great example for all men, but like specifically black men in general. Like I feel like the black community can it has its issues, and I feel like especially around LGBTQ plus people, there's still a lot of hate. I'm going to say hate around, or like keeping things under secretive, or it's just not as uplifted as I feel it should be, because we're part of the community too. So I feel like this will help a lot of people. A lot of people look up to Barack Obama, and yeah, it's a good thing.
Growing up as a man at any time is not easy at all. Growing up in general, one of the things that I remember growing up was my sister. She's a little more mature than me, and I was privy to hang out with a lot of her friends, and I loved hanging out with her friends because I felt like more of an adult when I was a struggling young gay person. And I was privy to her best friend who was gay, and he ended up being, I think he was the first person I told that I was gay. I'll never forget it. We were in his Honda Civic, and I had to tell somebody, and I told him because I knew he was gay, and I knew that my family loved and accepted him. And I felt like he was my pseudo brother, and that if I told him first, I could get a perspective on my sister, like how will that go over with my sister?
Yeah.
And it really was a beautiful moment. And having him as a role model early on in my life was so impactful to know that, thank goodness, there's somebody out there that represents who I am as well. Jeremy, when you hear the story of Barack Obama and putting this out there now, a lot of times people think that, oh, we don't need to hear from former presidents, but this is kind of impactful. Or how would you say?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I've always loved him and his wife, and I feel like they just have like a different type of class
Yeah.
compared to obviously the current family that is in there, and also many other previous ones. But I also just like the point of view that is a lot more open-minded and intelligent at the same time. And I
Yeah.
also think that straight men will always benefit from anything that gay men do. And I just feel like I don't think that they think about it like that, or even in the headspace of thinking like, oh, maybe gay guys could give me tips on what women would like or how they would like to be treated, or just little gestures that gay men know that they're not in touch with. And we talked about in the past before, like being in touch with your emotional self and
Yes.
being able to uh, take therapy as a good thing and not shun it keeps straight men more in touch with their feelings and emotions. And I feel like this piggybacks that same idea of being able to be comfortable with yourself and learning more about yourself. And I feel like being around gay men, like straight men, would benefit from that. So
Yeah, and it's almost something that I adopted. I think it was post-pandemic, where when we were forced to live in our enclaves and just be, and then there was a point where they kind of opened it up, and I would go to my rooftop, and I made this concerted effort to connect with people within my building, people that I just walked by, and even neighbors I didn't really say anything to. And it was in that period, granted it's Manhattan in New York, but still different types, age ranges, I really decided to connect with people in general. And it just exposed, and then from that led to, now I watch news programs that are not just going to speak to me and are liberal. I watch a very middle ground, a couple of middle ground shows to get perspective. And I just think we need to expose ourselves to more. Straight men benefit from this, and having somebody like Barack Obama tell us that, yeah, this was impactful to me to have a gay professor that kept me in line. And
yeah.
you spoke of the emotional intelligence that we all get from men are just supposed to be a certain way. I think that this is so beautiful. And thank you. and you're right. We're privy to Barack and Michelle, who are very young as it goes, to be now doing these beautiful things right now. Netflix shows, and I just love it. The podcast is amazing, and it's just nice.
You
I
got to
really
give it a
love it.
listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out her show, and it's really good. Okay, well, we got to move on because there's a new study that's, it's summertime, y'all, that ranks U.S. states with the highest STI rates. Cody, you got to know that New York's still high.
Why are you telling me so specifically, honey?
I'm looking at myself in the mirror as I say it. But four most common STIs: chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, and HIV. The study tracked how rates have changed over time and where the infections are most concentrated in the U.S. And it was an interesting study because when I really looked at it, it really showed that places like smaller rural areas still show high infection rates because they're not necessarily getting the messaging of things like PrEP, sadly, and with that being threatened every day by the administration. But they're also not getting messages like doxypap, which we talk a lot about on this show. But this study also shows that even in New York, where we have access to a lot of this stuff, you can go to free clinics and get things like doxypap, and you can get things like free access to PrEP. You can go to Mister online, that we have a high rate. Well, it doesn't really surprise me because New York is, I mean, come on, I don't say this as it's God's country. It's just that everybody wants to come to New York. I know this because I'm planning a wedding right now and we're looking at hotel rates for guests, and it's like, damn it, it's so expensive here.
Yeah.
But I say that, why are rates still high here? I don't know. Do studies like this, Jeremy, help us, or what do they say when it's, I mean, at the end of the day, are we on our own? Do you just have to like figure out your own health?
I mean, I think it's good to just be aware of what the studies are, but I do think that you have to be your own advocate at the same time and know what's top priority. And I think just knowing your body and yourself and getting like tested routinely and just making sure, like, because I just feel like people don't, not everyone takes physicals and doctor's visits important. And I think that if you keep up to date with that alone, that's a really good thing for you and your health.
I 100% agree. I think summertime is a great time to have some fun. Anytime really is. Cody, it reminds me of something that my doctor once told me when I did get one of these STIs, that said, you need to tell like your partners, because otherwise you're just going to keep this cycle within your core group of people occurring. In other words, if I didn't tell that person and he didn't then get the vaccination, or to eliminate it, that we're just going to keep circling this back around within the community. So I don't know, when you hear these stats, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I hear you. I think that it's so important for us all to be, like Jeremy was saying, cognizant of our health and what's going on with our bodies. And there's so much out there and available for us, doxypep and PrEP and all the things that are here to protect us from actually spreading this. And I feel like it's our own responsibilities to go out and make sure that we're doing all that we can in order to protect ourselves and to keep these rates from growing. So I think that they are important to have out there, just so we know where we are as a community and a society, and so we can focus on getting those lower.
Yeah,
And
and
I think when you are in areas, because not everyone's in a
right.
major city that has gay doctors or access to any of that, it's even more important. Like, I noticed a huge difference in finding a GP here in Massachusetts versus going to Callan Lord in New York City, which was where my doctor was before. And that's the whole entire building is gay, lesbian, transgender, every patient, most of the doctors and nurses and stuff. So it was a culture shock, but that's why it's important to stay on top of the health and just the current events and things that go on in our community.
It's one of the reasons we continue to keep this segment, our health and wellness, as it relates to our sexual natures on this show, and have so for over 8+ years, is that things change throughout the years. I mean, right now, it is being threatened that a lot of people's health care may be taken away that gives you access to things like PrEP. I benefit from that right now. I'm a little bit worried on how that's going to look. I want to know new current studies that are coming out. I want to know that I can go to places like you mentioned here in New York, Callum Lord. But if not, then Mister, which is the online platform that gives me access to that. We want to report on things that Lincoln, our other co-host, has said that even in times of this, maybe we have to just keep aware of this kind of things and remember a time of condoms. Remember those rubber things. We can still keep ourselves. We just want everybody to be safe. And when times are against our community is the times that you really have to keep up with what's going on in
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Politics, even when you say you're not into politics, it affects our community. And that's why we continue to do this show. We have to talk about something that I didn't even know. It was called Bankysing. And I was thinking Banksy, like the artist, ethereal artist that just does these amazing artworks around different parts of the world. And yes, it is kind of related to him, which is strange, but how is Bankysing different, or what is Bankysing? Well, Bankysing is a new Gen Z dating term that gets its name from the infamous artist Banksy, known for his mysterious art that pops up out of nowhere. But instead of a satirical piece of street art that self-destructs, like one of his paintings, it's a selfish way to end a relationship to protect yourself while withdrawing emotionally and destroying the relationship from within, so that when the relationship ends, you're prepared and your partner is blindsided. So I read a lot of all this, and a lot of people had a lot to say on this article, including some therapists and all. It's essentially I had to go back to a time when I was in a relationship and I knew this isn't right for me. Jeremy, I think you know one of the people that I was with. And every time I would bring up to this person, and I was a little emotionally weaker at that time, that this isn't working. He would start bawling and crying. And then I would get nervous, and then I would just say, okay, no, we're fine. But I would start to do things to kind of end it in my side, because I knew ultimately what the outcome was going to be in the end. That's kind of what this is ending something emotionally for yourself, but not telling the other person, and then summoning them at the end, like you're summoned for court. You at like a slam dunk, and they are somewhat blindsided. Jeremy, what do you think of this concept, Bankysing, that Gen Z is adopting?
I think as I'm getting older, I don't think that this is kind and brings you good karma. Back in the day, I probably would have done something like this, but I wouldn't now. I don't think that people deserve that type of treatment. And I think that you get better karma with caring about someone's feelings just more than this, and not I've never been a fan of ghosting people, and I can definitely disconnect and act like someone has never existed once I'm done, but I do give an explanation, and I don't feel like blindsiding someone in a relationship is a good idea, and just not how I would conduct myself, especially if you cared about them at one point, and even if that dissipated slowly. I don't believe in treating people like that.
Yeah, you bring up great points because age is a healer and helps us all grow. And I couldn't help but think one of your favorites, we both saw her in concert, Jennifer Lopez, was recently in concert. And somebody was calling out to her in the audience about where she's kind of at. And she kind of addressed it. And somebody was asking her, like, how many times have you been married? How many times
What?
has she been married? It's are we at 3 or 4?
I think it might be 4. It could be 5,
I
because I
think
know that
it's
there's the ones that were kind of under the radar. They weren't famous men, so that was at least 1 or 2 at the beginning. So I mean, maybe she's at 4. I don't remember them all specifically, but it's been many. So
and she alluded to the fact that she's basically going to take time for herself, which I think is a really good thing. I couldn't help but think her and I are about the same age. I think she's 2 years older than me, and I'm about to get married. So I was just thinking, I was like cooking my breakfast, and I was like, she's had 4 marriages, and I've been single this whole time. Now she's kind of done with it. 'Cause she's like, I did that, and it's not working, and I'm just taking it down. Now I'm basically her same age. I'm going into my first marriage, but to what you're saying, granted, it's Hollywood, and they live in a different world. We have
mhm.
to always remember that, but I'm kind of glad I took all this time to figure out, and I needed a lot of figuring out. Believe me, many of you can attest to that on this program. But I feel like finally now, and still growing, I'm ready for my first marriage. But Cody, when you hear this Banksy thing that Gen Z is embracing, or anything that we've talked about, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, give yourself some grace, Steve, because gay adolescence comes after straight adolescence, because we're all, when we're young, we're trying to pretend we're straight the whole time. So we're
Thank
wrapped up in all of that.
you.
So you're doing fine, darling. You're doing great, baby.
Thank
Um,
you.
as far as Banksing is going, that's what it's called, Banksing?
Yeah, Banksing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like I've done this before, but like Jeremy said, when I was much, much younger, because I feel like it's like a self-protection type of thing. You understand that this relationship you're in it's not going to be able to sustain itself. So you protect your own heart, and you really don't give a lot of consideration to the other person, which I think is, like you said, not very fair. I feel like it's also been done to me. So I know firsthand experience that does not feel good. It feels like it's coming out of left field. You don't understand why. All of those emotions and things of that nature that come up around this are very hurtful. So I don't recommend you do it to somebody else. And I definitely, from having lived that experience, now I definitely will be more upfront about where I'm coming from as soon as I know. And I think that that's probably the key, just communicating with your partner.
Yeah, of course, a life coach that you are and have been. You said one of the things that one of the therapists said, that it's kind
Oh
of a
my gosh.
protective measure, that, why would you end something when you don't have something coming up? And so it's like a protective measure. And so it's
Yeah.
like you want to slowly end this, and so you come out looking glowing. But I do just go back to, and relationships are tough, but when it's over, you have to, I think it's just so important. And as you know yourself more, as you mature, you're more likely to just be like, this isn't working anymore. And for the sake of both of us, we've got to move on. And from a health standpoint, and life is too short. And so, yeah, it's a thing. And Gen Z better figure it out because,
well, they coined the phrase, so
they did. And I'm not really,
right.
I'm not really happy that, Banksy. I mean, he is very elusive and all that, but why do you got to pull his art into it? I mean, come on now, It's not a good thing. Let's talk about something as well that I didn't know about called soft swapping. Basically, we all know what open relationships are, but soft swapping is a form of consensual or ethical non-monogamy where a couple explores sexual play with other couples or within a community of other couples. And it's a lot like swinging, if you will, but tends to have more boundaries set about what is allowed and basically restricts parties from having penetrative sex outside of the relationship. Is it for our community? I don't know. I mean, I could kind of see it. I feel like during the pandemic, people had their bubbles. And I've been around, last night, Diego and I were around this group of people that were very young and vibrant, and they work in the bar scene. And it seemed as though fluidity was a whole thing. Like, even though there was couples, I felt like there was a little bit more of flirtiness and, oh, I can touch you here and it's all fun. And I sort of could go along with it just because I feel like I'm a kid, even though I'm not. But I mean, are you into this soft swapping, Jeremy?
I don't think so. I feel like jealousy would definitely kick in for me, but I'm not one to say never. I think, like you said before, it's good to have the boundaries kind of set or discussed,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't cause issues in what's going well for you currently. So, I mean, I'm not saying definitely yes, I'm gun ho for this because it sounds kind of like the gay version of swingers. But yeah, I think the communication bit is really the most important. And I think if you haven't discussed the boundaries, it could easily cause a lot of rifts in something that's going well for you.
Well, like the last article, Cody, they talk to a lot of therapists, and it all comes down to communication too, and how this could go quickly awry. What are your thoughts about this kind of interaction and play?
Well, I know I sounded all therapist like and very mature on the last one, but on this one, I'm gonna say, oh, hell no. Okay. Because this is not for me. This is not the move. There'll be no soft swapping in my next relationship. I think that, it could work for some people. You're right. And I think that for it to work, like you said, you have to have communication and guidelines and all the things that we've discussed here. But, I don't. I think you also need to have emotional maturity and to know your own self and being able to take stock of who you are and where you come from and what the boundaries you want to set for yourself as far as a relationship is concerned is very important. And not everybody is built for this. So recognizing that is part of your growth and your evolution as a human being.
Yeah, it kind of makes it sound like you would invite this other gay couple over, and then all of a sudden it would just turn into swingers nation. And
But like,
I don't know that, like, I've mentioned this on this show, Diego and I have had fun with other people when we've been out and about, but typically it's been like a third that we invited into the situation for a fun couple of hours or 5 minutes, I don't know, whatever it was, and depending on the person. But it was, yeah, it was what it was, and then they go home, and then we're together. But we have a lot of discussions about this to keep, because I can remember another time when we had. I said this before. Even numbers don't work as well as odd numbers. My friend once told me this, and the last time we had 2 people over, I started to get jealous and I didn't like what was going on. I was with somebody and I was looking over and what are you doing to Diego? And I was like, no. And so I don't know. I just think it requires that much more communication, but it's not without exploring. I just think, were
You
you
know
gonna say
what
something
though?
good? Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
you brought up something. I forgot what I was going to say before, but something new came up for me. Yeah, the conversations that need to happen, they don't need to just be between you and your partner. I feel like the conversation should be between the other couple as well. Because for something like this to work, I feel like all parties should know where people are coming from, what is allowed, and things of that nature. So I think that that's an important component as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I had mentioned that I am getting married later this year. You
Okay,
guys were both.
married.
I'm getting married. I just put a link, not the first one because we're not doing that story, but the second one. And I've been wanting to do this when Jeremy's on the show because it has to do with fashion and it has to do with, I didn't really realize this. And I used to work, like, actually help people plan their weddings. All of the things you have to consider. And by the way, everybody has an opinion. Well, Niecy Nash still holds a grudge against none other than Academy Award winner Coleman Domingo. Okay, what am I talking about? Well, Niecy Nash was recently talking on a morning show that she's been married 3 times, but the last one she met the love of her life. And it was to a woman, which is so amazing. And I love that for her. We love Niecy Nash on this show.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
love. One of my favorite people. And when she was telling the story, it was a small, intimate gathering in her backyard, maybe 20 people. Who officiated the wedding, she said, was none other than Coleman Domingo.
We love him
What?
too.
Why would she have a grudge? And it's a little bit of a wink and a nod, but why would she have a grudge? Was because when he showed up to officiate the wedding, and if you look at that link there's a little YouTube thing, and you can kind of see in the background what he was wearing. Niecy looks gorgeous in her wedding dress, and her partner, I should probably get her partner's name, Cody, if you could help me, looks really fierce. And
Jessica Betts. I knew it off the top of my head. Oh,
thank
I'm
you.
winning.
I love you. This is why we love you. Looks, they're in like beautiful white, and in the background, you can see the person that officiated the wedding, which was none other than Coleman Domingo, wearing a yellow, as Niecy Nash said it, he looked like a beautiful bumblebee. Not for a wedding, though. And what I loved what she said in the interview was she's like, you didn't have any black slacks laying around that you could have put on? It's a wedding. And she meant it in all in love. I mean, of course, she was excited. And she's like, lastly, she said, I love that now he's like this fashion icon. She's like, what happened at my wedding? Like, you had to become the fashion icon after my wedding. And as we all know, Jeremy, he's, part of the Met Gala, was one of the hosts of it. Some people don't always agree with all of his fashion, but as I'm getting married, how important is it for somebody to dictate what you wear at the wedding?
So I think she should have maybe talked to him before, because I think the outfit is a little much and deters away from them as the couple. But I do understand where he was probably in the mindset to be playful for a gay wedding, and then just showed up in something that he thought was fun and that they would enjoy, and didn't think that she would take it. Well, I'm not personally, but just not enjoy it or find it like comical, where I think he was headed with it. I don't personally even like the outfit, and I usually do like most of the things that he wears, but it is a little outlandish to wear to a wedding, especially when you're officiating the couple. So for me, it would piss me off or annoy me, but I also would have asked for photos of what you're wearing before you show up like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Cody, because as we're planning this wedding, and we have a dear friend of mine officiating the wedding, and I've had so many people say, "Oh, are you going to tell people to wear black and white? Are you going to?" And I was like, I don't want to tell anybody what to do at all. But then when I see a picture like this, and Coleman looks like straight out of the '90s. I mean, MC Hammer minus the bagginess, it's just like that yellow. It was maybe before he had stylists, and I love Coleman. We talk highly of him on this show all the time, and I know him personally now. And maybe it is a time to actually ask, what are you going to wear?
Yeah, I hear you. I don't think it's something that you should ask the guests, but somebody who's officiating the wedding, somebody who is doing other things at the wedding that are going to be in front of people and I guess representing you in a way, some form of
Yeah.
fashion. I think that it's okay to be like, well, could you just, since you are actually performing or you're doing this, do you mind just showing me what you're going to wear? I'm going to give you free reign, of course, but as long as they're within these guidelines. So I think it's perfectly acceptable to do that. But Niecy Nash was caught off guard, honey, and we all need to be learning from her mistakes.
I mean, yeah, I love it. And lastly, I just wanted to end on something that I've been thinking about a lot. We talked a lot about it, Cody, as we were just walking around the city, is just a couple words on summer. Is one of my, I know a lot of people gripe about summer. It's hot, it's sweaty, it's this, but there's something very, I mean, we all, back in the day when we were in school, looked forward to summer break. It was always that magical time. As adults, we don't really get to take that time off like we did. But for me, it's always a special time. And I'll just start, like, what's your favorite thing about summer and what are you enjoying now? I will say that just being in New York City, I did my major trip in the springtime. I went to Africa, and I know a lot of people love to go away in the summertime. I just love being in the city. There's not a lot of people here. It's a little calmer. I walk to the pier. You can go to a rooftop. You can get a seat at the table. I mean, yes, there's a lot of, muck and things you got to like go through, but I just love it. And I really encourage people to be in the moment this summertime. Jeremy, if you had to say what's one of your favorite things about summertime, if at all, and how are you enjoying it this summer, what would you say?
I would definitely say three things. So definitely being the most tan that I am throughout the entire year in summer.
Oh, and you look so good with your tan.
And then I would say I am obsessed with the ocean and am totally a fish. So that would be my second thing.
If you know anything about Jeremy, he's in the water.
I love the beach and love the ocean. And then I would say the third thing is the flowers that only thrive in summer, especially living in Massachusetts.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Because I love flowers so much, and they bring a lot of happiness and joy. And I just feel like they definitely only thrive here in summer. So those are my three.
One of my favorite memories with you when you lived here was we would annually go to the Orchid show in the Bronx, and we just wander around there, and we just you and I have a love of flowers and the beauty of it all, and I just love that. Cody, you celebrate a birthday every summer, so it's got to be really special to you.
That's it.
An upcoming Cancer birthday. We're going to celebrate tomorrow night. It's Cody's birthday.
Yay! Happy birthday to me.
Happy almost birthday.
Obviously, that's one of the things that you love about summertime, but what else can you share with us?
You know what's funny? I wasn't even going to say my birthday, but definitely my birthday is number one. Number two, number two would probably be just doing things outdoors. I feel like during the wintertime in that season, I don't really do a whole lot outside because it's fucking cold and I hate the cold weather. So yeah, there's that, especially the beach. You were talking about how much you love the beach, Jeremy. I love it too.
Yeah.
And probably because I don't have number three, I don't have to wear that many clothes. So
I
can be completely almost naked and nobody will look at me funny. So I think that's my third reason, that the fact that I could be in the heat. I really enjoy the heat, but not like if I have to wear a bunch of pants and clothes. So I just like to strip it all down and have on my stringer tank tops and shorts. So yeah.
Just based on everything you all have said, one of the main things in New York I love is you don't have to pay for coat check. You can just show up. That damn extra charge of coat check. But also, I'm in currently my building, and it's just been going on too long. They say it's going to be ready at the end of the summer. Wah, wah, our rooftop. Most of my summers, I would just go to my rooftop to get, because I don't have like a back. I live in an apartment, right? And my backyard was going up to the rooftop, and I was notorious for almost every single day going up to the rooftop to either meditate, talk to my mom, talk to one of you, just and we for 2 years haven't been able to do that. What has been my alternative? Realizing that a few blocks down I can walk to the pier. It's it's a little trek, but I've been doing that. We've been doggy sitting, so I've been taking her every single day, and I just sit on a bench and I look at the water. I'm a person that needs to be by the water. It's just consoles my soul. I love
hear
it.
that.
Yeah, and I love. It reminds me I'm on an island. I love that, and yeah. So we say this to find your peace, embrace. I feel like we're in the heart and middle of summer. Enjoy it, embrace it, because there's a lot going on right now, but it's a beautiful time to just embrace the summer. So with that, so much fun, you guys. As always, you can always follow my co-host on the gram. Follow Jeremy at @JRossLopez on Instagram. Follow Cody. Don't forget, he has that brand new single, I Don't Want to Fight, wherever you get your music. But follow him on the gram or Blue Sky at Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. Go to our Tags Patreon community where I'm posting so much extra content. Go to patreon.com/tags podcast. And guys, in the meantime, continue having hot gay sex. Lovely.